What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. I recently went to go check out the new Hunger Games prequel called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It's supposed to be a prequel story, and it's taking place in 64 years before the events of the original Hunger Games movie. It's telling the backstory of the younger President Snow before we see him as a sadistic, tyrannical character that we know him to be in the franchise. He mentors this tribute from District 12 during the 10th annual Hunger Games, and he develops feelings for her. And this is directed by Francis Lawrence, who directed the last three Hunger Games movie, Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. I had zero interest going into the prequel story because I was never the biggest fan of the Hunger Games franchise. I don't hate them. I liked the first movie. I thought Catching Fire was the best out of all of them. But then the last two movies, Mockingjay Part 1 and 2, felt very lackluster and mediocre, and it fell off the bandwagon. It was a big missed opportunity of how they wrapped up that franchise. And when I found out that Francis Lawrence, the director, was going to return to direct the prequel story, I was like, why do I care to see the backstory of the younger President Snow when I already know what he'll become? And having a love story between him and in this tribute named Lucy Gale, who is one of the tributes from District 12. Why would I want to see that backstory? But then after coming out of this movie, I will say I was surprised of how good this movie really was. I'm not even joking. Now, before going into it, I want to mention that I remember when they overmarket the film by overplaying the same trailer multiple times throughout the whole year. Every time I went out to go see that at the AMC theaters, there was one time that they replayed the same trailer twice, and it nearly killed my excitement. But luckily, I went in with the benefit of the doubt, and I went in with an open mind and gave it a shot. And I will say that this actually is a better movie than I thought it would be. I love how they were able to tackle the backstory of the history of the younger President Snow, and it's played by Tom Blyth. I'm not familiar with his resume. I haven't seen him in any of the projects of shows or movies, but after seeing his performance playing the younger President Snow, I will say that he nailed it. Especially in his first time leading role, I loved it. His performance was absolutely incredible. I can't wait to see more of his future projects. I'm so well invested in him as an actor. And the tribute, Lucy Gale, played by Rachel Zegler, which you may have known her from the Spielberg's West Side Story remake and also Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I thought she was a great actress, and I thought she did a great job in that West Side Story that Steven Spielberg directed back in the day. And she can really have the acting chops. I thought her singing was absolutely beautiful. She is definitely one of the best singers out there. And after seeing her performance in the prequel story, where her character, she doesn't try to be like the Jennifer Lawrence's Katniss Everdeen. She is her own character. Her skills is communicating through singing to the world, and there's a reason why she does it, because she wants to like let everybody that care about her and help her survive when she gets sponsors, because when you're being televised, you have to really sell yourself as a tribute and getting people to like you and really care for you so they can pay enough money to give supplies to you to survive through the games. And they really did tackle the horror of the world, especially with the people of the capital that are throwing children into the games and essentially murdering them for the sake of entertainment and sports, and also making a statement. I thought they did a great job of telling you what the Hunger Games really is about. I was so well invested in the love story between Snow and Lucy Gale. Their chemistry was absolutely incredible. It could have been just some cheap young adult love story that we've seen many times before, but no, it actually worked. I bought into their drama, and I loved how they did not held back on the brutality once we get into the games. The wide camera work shot was absolutely incredibly well crafted. They did not held back on any of the brutality and the violence. This looked like it could have been an R-rated movie, and especially when it's in a PG-13 film. I thought the performances of Viola Davis, who was playing the game maker, was absolutely incredible. She makes you want to hate her, fear her, and she makes your skin crawl every time she shows up on screen. And yeah, it's not the first time that she played a villain role in big franchise, but I thought she really crushed it, and she was very convincing villain, very evil, very sadistic. Peter Dinklage, who's, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's supposed to be one of the co-creators of the Hunger Games, and he's not in the film much, but when he's on screen, he sells you that role, and I thought he was great when he was on screen. He only had like a few scenes of screen time, and that's about it, in which you may have known Peter Dinklage, that he's from the Game of Thrones series, which most of you already know by now, but Peter Dinklage is great in any movie he's in. Like I said, I love the world building. I love that they didn't shy away with the horror of Hunger Games, and I was so like surprised that the Francis Lawrence wanted to like split this into 3-part chapters to let you know what's going on in the scenes that you're in, because the first part of the chapter was about setting up the story, setting up the games, and once we get into the middle of the chapter, this is where we get into to get into the Hunger Games, to the event. And it almost felt like the third act, because I was not a big fan of the third chapter, in my opinion. There's parts of it that kind of dragged on a little bit too long, and it felt like we were watching a different movie. And it felt like they were trying so hard to figure out how are we going to wrap this up with President Snow's backstory and how he became that person. But the ending itself really delivered, and I love how they were able to do the transformation of him becoming the President Snow, and how it ended. It gave me chills, and it almost made me wanted to revisit the franchise again now that I know the full context of President Snow's backstory. And I'm glad that the younger actor Tom Blyth played the younger Snow. I thought he really nailed it, made it very convincing. Doesn't try to like impersonate the other actor who played the older President Snow, and was played by Donald Sutherland. And I thought he was great in the franchise. Overall, this is definitely a solid film, and it's a worthy addition to the franchise. And if you had not seen any of the Hunger Games movie, you don't have to worry about that, because you can simply go into it completely blind and not worry about what's going on. You're not going to get lost. They did a great job of telling you the history of the Hunger Games and telling you what the Hunger Games is really about. They did a better job of establishing that more than they did in the other 4 films. Now, what did you guys think of this movie? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Jump down in the comment section below and leave me your thoughts. And if you haven't seen it, let me know if you're excited to go see it and you're looking forward to it. If you're a fan of the Hunger Games franchise, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to be very well invested in the prequel story. And I'm already rewatching the franchise all over again, because after coming out of this movie, it compelled me to want to revisit that film again. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from. If you want to follow my social media links, the link tree will be down in the description down below, where you can find my social media platforms on there. If you like this review, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. I would really appreciate your support. It's one click of a button. It would really mean a lot to me. And I hope you guys stay safe and take care.